Hi, I'm Justin Boyd.
Hi, I'm George Luna.
I'm Brittany Pacheco,
I'm the Black Bruce Wayne, baby.
and we are the Watchers in the Basement.
Frank, I thought you were going to say "And I Am Vengeance." That would have been perfect for this for the
I
open.
was, I was going to, but George had been saying it all pre-show long. I didn't want to be redundant.
Didn't want to step on it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, welcome to the Watchers in the Basement. We are here today, of course, to talk about the Batman. This is going to be a spoiler-filled show. So if you have not seen the movie, please see the movie first, then come back and watch this. But we will open with some spoiler-free takes here in a second. Just want to start out by just let's give the rundown of the Batman. This movie has had we finally got to see it this year. It came out March 4th, 2022, but this movie is 5 years in the making. Originally, this movie was supposed to be the Ben Affleck solo Batman film, and Affleck was gonna direct the movie. He was gonna write the movie and obviously star as Batman Bruce Wayne. That fell through. He decided he wasn't going to direct it. They hired Matt Reeves, and Matt Reeves was going to direct it with Affleck starring. But the word on the street was that the Affleck story, of course, would attach to the DCEU, would be a part of this Snyderverse, whatever. And Matt Reeves was like, "I don't want to do that. So if y'all want to do that, that's great. Don't hire me. I want to do my own thing." And so Matt Reeves dropped out. Then he came back, and then he recast the character of Batman Bruce Wayne. We got Robert Pattinson, and I think it was a good decision. But so we finally got the movie after a lot of COVID delays and a lot of movie industry kind of moves. The movie has a runtime of 2 hours and 56 minutes, which it's a long movie.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah. The box office, though, in about 10 days is already it's already at 463 million worldwide, and it hasn't even been released in China, which is supposed to be released in China on March 18th. So, and for those of you who don't want to see the movie in theaters for whatever reason, it's supposed to be released on HBO Max on April 19th. So a little more than a month, it's going to be on HBO Max. So, I'll be excited to check that out. Once again, Matt Reeves directed the movie. He also co-wrote the script for the movie. And I don't know if y'all are familiar with Matt Reeves, but he's directed 2 of the Planet of the Apes movies. He did Dawn of the Planet of the Apes and War for the Planet of the Apes. He also directed a movie called Cloverfield. I don't know, have Frank or George, have y'all seen these movies? Or
Yeah,
I've seen the Planet of the Apes movies, but I haven't seen Cloverfield.
I've seen Planet of the Apes and Cloverfield.
Yeah. I thought both those Planet of the Apes movies were really good. I mean, all 3 of them, honestly, it's a trilogy, are really good, but I thought the ones he did were excellent movies.
Mm-hmm.
I watched those before I watched the Batman. I was like, wow, this is like, if he can do this with the Planet of the Apes like IP, like imagine what he'll do with Batman. So, anyway, I thought thought those movies were really good, really cool. Like if you like the Batman, check out those movies. So now okay, let's just get some spoiler-free thoughts. George, what did you think about the movie overall?
Overall, my expectations were super low. I thought I don't know. I didn't know what to expect. Like Robert Pattinson's a good actor. I've seen him in like that movie Good Times. That was a great movie. That I've seen the Twilight movies, animated and watch them. He's not awful in them. Like they're just kind of cheesy. But I enjoyed the movie. It was good. It's a good movie, but it was a little too long. It didn't have to be this long. That was one of my only complaints about the movie. It just felt like it dragged on a little bit too much. But I think Robert Pattinson is great as Batman. He did really, really good. I don't know if I'd say he's my favorite Batman, but he's up there. He's definitely up there. But shit, what's her name? Zoey Kravitz.
Yep.
She was great in this movie too. I really, really enjoyed her role in it. Dude, Colin Farrell surprised me as a Penguin. I swear to God, I thought that was Joe Pesci, like in a fat suit. Tell me that he didn't look like Joe Pesci. Like the whole time, him talking and everything, his mannerisms just reminded me of Joe Pesci. But man, I don't know. I enjoyed the movie. Overall, I did enjoy it. I thought it was pretty good.
Frank, what about you? What are your thoughts?
I thought it was decent. Um, like George said, the runtime was just way too long. I feel like for a solo superhero film, if it's gonna be that long, I need more action. There was too many death spots. There was way too many solo staring into the darkness type scenes where I could have done without that. Um, I I love Pattinson's Batman. I wasn't a fan of his Bruce Wayne though. His Bruce Wayne came out as very gothic, very dark, and Bruce Wayne's a suave, sophisticated, ladies' man, very um personable, and he was
Very
a
emo.
grungy. It's a grungy Bruce Wayne. I'm like
Yeah.
I didn't like the adaptation of his Bruce Wayne. I thought I know it's like what year 2, year 3 of Batman, so
It's
maybe
year 2 of Batman. Yeah.
yeah, so maybe he'll come to his own as Bruce Wayne as he gets older, I guess. But
Yeah, I think that's
um,
the plan.
yeah, that was a very weird, odd adaptation of Bruce Wayne. Probably the weirdest I've seen in any Batman movie.
Yeah, I mean he was meant to play like a Kurt Cobain version of Bruce Wayne, which is sounds like an odd pairing, but I mean
Yeah,
obviously
very.
there's a Nirvana song in the movie which I think works
Mhm.
really well with the movie, and it works really well with the theme music, which is Michael Giacchino. But so it's an early Batman story, and obviously it's a Batman who doesn't want to really be Bruce Wayne. I mean, he's only Bruce Wayne like in a couple of scenes in the movie. So it's a very much I mean, he's Batman for most of the time. So people who complain in other movies are like, oh, we don't see Batman for 45 minutes. This movie, you see, I mean, he's the
Right
most
away.
Batman. He's Batman almost the whole movie, even when he's not wearing the cape and the cowl. Um, I agree that the runtime was long. I think that I didn't really feel it on the. I've seen the movie twice. I didn't really feel it on the first viewing because I thought it was it's a thriller, it's a mystery story, it's a detective story, and I was interested, so I was locked in. But I think on the rewatch, and I think on more rewatches, I think I'll feel it more. It's much like again, Snyder Cut is way too long, but like the first time I saw the Snyder Cut, I was so excited and I was so into the story that I like that even though it was 4 hours long, I could watch it. And
You
same thing
know,
with like Endgame. Like Endgame is 3 hours and 2 minutes or whatever.
but you know what's
And
crazy, Jay?
what's
Is
that?
that the Snyder cut felt shorter, like to me, than this fucking movie.
Oh wow, I didn't feel that.
And
No.
I felt it because, like, at least that is in like sections and isn't like the chapter and it splits apart. Like this shit, it just felt like it dragged way too long.
Wow. I see. I didn't. I
And
mean,
I wasn't really like hooked on it until like finally like the Riddler stuff, and like it just took too much time to try and solve each like piece, like that they were trying to do, like each clue that they would give them. Like
well, see, that's
I
the.
think it dragged on.
Mhm. I mean, the thing about the Riddler that I didn't. I like the Riddler. Obviously, he was meant to be like a serial killer, like Zodiac. Kind of.
Definitely.
Yeah, like it was like a sort of like Seven with Batman characters. I mean, to me, like the riddles, they figured out the riddles way too quick. Like are like they either figured it out real too quick, or like there were obvious ones they didn't figure out for a while that were just like very like okay, so we're in spoiler territory now. We're in spoiler territory. So whenever they kept saying like a rat with wings, I mean, I think everyone in the theater is like, well, he's saying a bat, but they're like, oh, well, a pigeon is a rat with wings. Oh, like a falcon is a rat, like, and it was like. And it was like, I mean, they didn't actually say Falcon, but like, Carmine, which he's always been for Carmine Falcone in my knowledge of the character. He's referred to as Carmine Falcone in this. And I believe he's referred to as Falcone because it's very similar to Falcon, and that's part of the Riddler is one of his riddles. I just think that like I knew going in the movie was going to be 2 hours and 56 minutes. So like I was prepared for that and I was interested in it. But yeah, it could be too late. It could be 2 hours and 30 minutes or 2 hours and 20 minutes easily. But I mean, it definitely to me, it's like so much better than the Snyder cut, just like story wise. Like it's just like they create a really like cool version of this world. And like I mean, I think like the opening scene not the opening scene, but the opening scene with Batman is one of the best Batman scenes where he's talking about the bat symbol and he's saying like, in the light when that light hits the sky and you see these criminals who are like in fear that he's like lurking in the shadows and he says, I am the shadows. And then like when he comes out and just beats the hell out of that face painted gang.
Yo,
Like,
shout out Tim Drake, bro. Y'all
I
saw
know.
that?
Yeah,
Tim Drake.
Titans. I saw that.
Yeah, the actor, I think his name's Jay Lycurgo. He plays Tim Drake.
Are they connecting these universes or what?
I don't know. No, I don't think so. In fact, interesting enough, he filmed that cameo in this movie before he did Titans.
Really?
But we saw Titans because this part was filmed in 2019 for the movie.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's forever.
Yeah. So the fact that he plays Tim Drake in Titans, I
That's
don't
pretty
think they're
cool.
going to connect it, but they do. I mean, obviously, when you see him, he is not, I mean, his face is half painted, so it's like he's obviously kind of conflicted. He doesn't want to attack this guy, whereas like the gang leader tells him to do that. So I mean, he might be playing a version of Robin in this, but I don't think it'll be connected to the Titans universe.
Well, I think they could now. Like, I think they could connect it. Like, they can make it happen.
They could, but then
I'd
like
show his face if they weren't going to do that.
But then you've also got you've got a Batman in that Titans universe. You know what I'm saying? So it's like
it kind of does fuck things up.
Yeah, so it's not it's like all the stuff with DC. It's not really ideal. They did not have a grand plan that they kept, changing, or they kept like adjusting to on the fly like Marvel has, whereas they're just doing separate projects, which in my estimation, that's the best thing for DC, because I think like the Joker, Joker was an awesome movie, and I think it's going to be a sequel.
Yeah.
I like that. I like this movie a lot. Like, I think that them trying to connect stuff, it's not their thing. So, anyway, so like I said, we're in spoiler territory. Let's talk a little bit more about the characters. We talked about Robert Pattinson a little bit, but let's start out with Robert Pattinson playing Batman, Bruce Wayne. Okay, so I know it's only one movie, but like George, you were saying you think he's up there with your favorite Batman or Batman. Like, where do you kind of rank him? Where do you see him in the pecking order of the actors who play Batman or his version of the character?
Okay, I'm gonna go like recent Batmans. I'm gonna put I still think Christian Bale is my favorite Batman. Even like with Bruce Wayne, like Frank says, they have to play both roles. So him as Bruce Wayne was fucking sick too. Like, he did a great job. Ben Affleck, I like his Batman, Bruce Wayne. It's okay. But I think Robert Pattinson as Batman, I think I preferred more than Ben Affleck's Batman. But I preferred Ben Affleck's Bruce Wayne compared to his Bruce Wayne, if that makes any sense.
Yeah, no, that makes total sense. Yeah, I got you. So, Frank, what are your kind of thoughts on, like, where do you rank Pattinson as a Batman and a Bruce Wayne?
I have Christian Bale 1. I have Michael Keaton 2. Val Kilmer's dead last. George Clooney is second to last. And I got Pattinson 3.
Okay.
Yeah, I got so Bale, Keaton, Pattinson. He didn't do a bad job at all. I mean, I like. It's a good movie. I don't know, man. It felt like I was watching a vampire. As Bruce Wayne, he was just very deadpan. I don't.
Well, I mean, he is a bat, right? He's the bat,
Now you basically know what Twilight is, Frank. So just saying.
There was no pizzazz as Bruce Wayne. And then like.
No, but I think that was on purpose, though. That was like intentional, because he's a young person becoming that persona. Because Bruce Wayne is like the mask, like Batman is who he really is, So.
No, I get that. I get that. If he develops his Bruce Wayne more in the next film, then I'm cool with it. If it's the same as Bruce Wayne that I saw in this one, I'm gonna be very disappointed. But I'm like Brittany with Spider-Man. I've always struggled with Batman because they call him the world's greatest detective, but these are some basic ass criminals, dog. Basic ass criminals, like Penguin to the Mad Hatter to the Joker. These are basic criminals, man. And he always gets outsmarted every freaking movie, it seems like. And he's supposed to do with the world's greatest detective. So that balance with me has always been perplexing to me. I'll tell you right now, Tony Stark won't be outsmarted.
Who is that?
Tony Stark.
Oh
He,
no, right? Yeah.
he would have been dead halfway through the movie. Really was. So um, I don't. I mean, it took him 3 hours.
Yeah.
I don't. I struggle with Batman villains. I really do. I really do. So
You touched on something that I wanted to talk about is the detective part of it because like while like I did point out something earlier about how the rat with wings like that seemed like that was pretty obvious that was a bat. Like I did like the fact that he was a detective in this movie, whereas the other movies he's really not a detective at all.
Yeah,
I mean,
no.
like he might have one scene where he's like kind of a detective, but like this movie was very heavy on being the world's greatest detective or becoming a detective, or he's um, I don't know. I did like that part of it, and I think that, like I said earlier, I think that I think this version of Batman. I mean, it's just one movie, but he is like the most Batman of any of the Batman actors. Like, I don't think he's the best, but I think like if he does 2 or 3 movies, or maybe does even more, like I think he will be the definitive Batman when it's all said and done. I think that like, I mean, to me, his only real competition is Christian Bale, and just because the Bale movies were so great, I think that those movies, and I mean, people can there's holes in those movies too, and people have picked them apart, but there was a certain like it felt like Christian Bale's version really understood the character, and I feel like this version is the same way. And I mean, it's slightly different, but it's also like very true to the character. Whereas like with Ben Affleck, like I think Ben Affleck looks cool in the suit. He's this big jacked up dude, and his Bruce Wayne is like this older, like playboy suave guy. But like his Batman was very dumb, and his Batman was very much like he was a killer who was chasing Superman because Superman might kill people, but Superman was saving people. Like it just didn't. It's like, what if Superman becomes me and kills people? Then I'm gonna have to go after him. Like
Martha.
it didn't make. It just didn't work. Like for that, for Batman to me, like it's like he was more of like a Punisher, with Batman tech or something. But really, like honestly, I don't think there's ever really been a bad actor to play Batman. I think there's been bad Batman movies. Like Batman and Robin is atrocious. I mean, it's horrible. It's literally unwatchable. It's an unwatchable movie. But I think the other Batman movies are not too bad. I think the other Batman actors are pretty good. I think Batman Forever is actually like better than, I think Batman 89 has a special place in my heart, but like I think Batman Forever is a better movie. Or it's like at least it's better than Batman Returns, and those are the
George
Batman movies.
George Clooney is too pretty to play Batman, bro. Like I don't. Like he literally looked like a model the whole time. Even the way he fought was very model like very runway like. And like
Yeah,
I
but
get it. Come off of ER, like he's one of the highest stars on the planet. Top billing name. But I feel like I was watching a model in a bat suit.
He actually admitted later on that he really regretted taking on the role of Bruce Wayne Batman. He's like, he goes, I did not enjoy that at all. He's like, I hated it. Probably one of the bigger regrets of his career was taking on that role.
George Clooney
So.
now says that, but George Clooney back then would still like if he went back in time, he'd still do it. Like, how are you gonna turn down being Batman? Like, it was kind of his entryway into becoming a movie star. So like, while that Batman movie wasn't good, like he became a huge movie star. And I mean, I don't really understand. Like the movie wasn't good, but like I don't think he was that bad. I mean, yeah, Frank, I agree with your opinion. Like he wasn't the most physical Batman, and also because it was the most like campy, silly Batman too. Like it was Mr. Freeze with these with Schwarzenegger with these terrible puns, and like it was like it was very like cartoony, and almost like more cartoony than like the '60s Batman TV show. It really was.
I don't know.
It wasn't.
Uma Thurman was pretty hot in that role of
No, she was. Yeah.
Dr.
It was
Dr. Isles. Yeah.
She was Poison Ivy. Yeah.
I know, but her other persona was Dr. Isles. Anyway.
Right. I don't know. I think here's what I think. I think it's hard to be bad as Batman because you're wearing a mask. You know what I mean? Like if you just like kind of have a whisper voice and you can wear the suit, I think you're going to be a pretty decent Batman. Being Bruce Wayne's a different thing. And that's where Christian Bale really shines because his Bruce Wayne, his Bruce Wayne is not tremendously different mindset of like Pattinson's. It's just, we see him at a we see him at a different point where he knows he's got to be the suave, like pompous Bruce Wayne in public to throw people off the scent that, hey, like who could afford to be Batman? Well, there's only literally like one guy, but like if you make it like, well, you're this like guy who's driving sports cars and you've got like, you know, models with you at these public events and you don't care about anything but yourself. If that's what you sell to everyone, then they're more likely to believe it than if you're like this, like Pattinson, who's this, this very like, I mean, he wants vengeance. And like, you even see him in the movie where there are scenes where he goes out on the streets and he's got like a hood and like a face mask thing. He's already got the eye black painted on his eyes and he has the suit with him. You know, like it's a very different take on Batman. You know, it wasn't like he was always in the suit. He was like kind of always on the street, whether it was in costume or not, looking for, for criminals.
Now, I will say this about the DC properties now. I think they found a formula to where they need to stay away from the continuity properties of like Justice League and making all these movies match up. It seems like Dark Knight was its own solo property that did great. Joker won an Oscar. This Batman's gonna probably make $1 billion or somewhere close. And I feel like they do better. They do a better job of just making solo films that have no continuity with any other properties. Aquaman, I think, made $1 billion as well, even though it was part of the Justice League property. But they need to dumb it down and just make solo grim dark movies. That's DC's montage. That's their vibe. Everything is gritty, and I think they will be successful doing that.
Yeah, I think they're going to try to do both, honestly, and that it may work. I mean, they're going to have this Flash movie, which now is being delayed till 2023, but that's going to kind of connect the Justice League. Like, I don't think Batman and Superman are really going to be a part of those movies, really. I mean, Michael Keaton's going to play Batman again somehow, like in a Nick Fury kind of role where he's going to be a part of the team, but a part of the league, but not really like in it, like not really in the hand-to-hand fights. And I think they're going to try to highlight the characters that have worked, like Gal Gadot's Wonder Woman, Jason Momoa's Aquaman. And I think they're going to be like, those characters are going to lead the league, while Batman with Pattinson has his own separate movie series. And there's supposed to be another Superman series, which will not include Henry Cavill. There's, talk that it could be like Michael B. Jordan as a Superman, or there could be another Superman that's also a black Superman. Or it could be a whole different Superman.
Is it going to be Idris Elba?
No, but that would, I mean, for an older Superman, that would work, honestly.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I've always said that, like, after Black Panther came out and was like this huge cultural phenomenon and like just took over the world, like DC should have greenlit a black Superman movie like that week. They should have said, you know what, we should just do this, because at that point they are like, their Justice League stuff wasn't working. They haven't used Henry Cavill even since then. So it's like, they should have went in that direction. They would have probably had a $1 billion franchise like this past summer or something. So,
yeah.
So y'all already know this, but for everyone else who's, tuning in, I actually haven't watched this movie just because on principle, I don't care for Robert Pattinson, and I'm over the whole Batman thing, just like I was with Spider-Man. We've had so many different movies, so many different actors portraying the same character. So I'm very interested to hear, y'all's perspective of this movie, aside from, Robert Pattinson. But I'm curious with Zoey Kravitz's character as Selena Kyle. I'm assuming she's a Selena Kyle, right? Because she is Catwoman.
She's never referred to as Catwoman. Yeah.
Okay.
Right.
Okay.
She's just Selena Kyle, but she is very much Catwoman, if that makes sense.
Yeah, of course. So I'm curious, like, how did she do in her role? What did she bring to the character that is Catwoman?
I'll let George go.
So I've seen her on like a couple of TV shows, and like I never really cared for her as like an actress or like anything like that. But this role, I think she did really good in. Like, she sold me on being Catwoman.
Okay.
Frank.
I don't know
Okay.
about Frank.
Yeah, I mean, I think she encapsulated the femme fatale persona of Selena Kyle. Very sexy, very deadly. Uses her sexual appeal to get what she wants, while being an exquisite elite fighter. She nailed it. I thought she did a great job playing Catwoman. I have her as my second favorite Catwoman after Michelle Pfeiffer's Catwoman. And I think she has room to grow too because she's so young. So
Mhm.
if they decide to bring her back for another one or a third one or whatever, I think they have good chemistry. Pattinson and her had good chemistry for sure. Even though there were times in that movie Pattinson seemed awkward, his Bruce Wayne seemed awkward around her, like unsure of himself. Which again, I have to keep telling myself this is year two Bruce Wayne, year two. This is
Yeah.
not a seasoned Bruce Wayne yet. But I love the vibe of Zoe Kravitz in this movie. I think that they should do a better job of showcasing these other non-Batman protagonists.
I have a question. So, she played like a big, well, she brought in a big clue was the voicemail. Whose phone was that?
That was Annika's phone.
Okay,
The
so she
Russian
had the
girl.
voicemail for herself. I was fucking confused because I thought she had the voicemail the whole fucking time.
Oh,
And I'm
no,
like,
I'm
why
sorry.
the fuck didn't you just check your phone?
So she didn't. So okay, that's a good question. I'm not sure if
But
she
said
like
she left
got
a
the.
message for me,
So I think it was on her phone. That's what it was. It was on her phone.
and she
Like,
she didn't notice it till now.
well, remember there was that scene when she lost her phone. Remember that?
Oh no.
Yeah, there was a scene whenever she first meets Batman in. I
Uh-huh.
think it's at her apartment
At her
or whatever.
apartment?
Yeah, and someone breaks in. Remember they're in there and someone breaks in, and then she
Okay.
makes their point. She goes, "Oh, they took my phone."
Oh, okay. See, I didn't catch
Oh,
that.
no.
I was just like, I was like, why the fuck didn't you just check your phone the whole time?
Yeah,
See, I didn't
no,
catch that.
it's actually
I
remember
didn't
whenever they come back,
Yes.
back after they were on like
And the apartment's been raided and everything.
that's what it was, and then she
Okay.
goes, "They
See,
took my phone."
I didn't catch that at all. They didn't
Yeah.
have to be like I didn't catch that. Fuck.
Yeah,
Okay. I was just thinking, wow, this is fucking stupid.
yeah. I mean, it was a pretty long. It was like a minute and a half voicemail with
Yeah.
excellent audio quality too.
Yes.
Right?
I was like, how could you not notice this?
Yeah.
And then when she found the officer, that's how she found her phone, right? Because he's the one that raided the apartment.
Right. Yeah.
Okay. See,
When she
now that
found
makes
him.
sense. I
Yeah.
was so pissed off about
Yeah.
that. I was like, this is so fucking dumb.
They did explain stuff pretty well, I thought. But
That must have been way too quick because I did not catch that.
yeah. As far as Zoe Kravitz, I thought she was awesome. I think the acting in this movie across the board was superb. I mean, I don't think there was any like all the actors were great in this movie. I mean, but with her, I think that she could definitely carry a Batman a Catwoman movie on her own. And
Yeah, for sure.
and that's what's really cool about
Plot twist: she becomes Batman.
right. That's what is really great about Batman and also Spider-Man is they have so many villains, but they have so many people in their world, so many characters. So like, I've already heard people like saying like, "Oh, I wonder who's going to be Wonder Woman or Superman in this world with Pattinson." It's like, no, don't worry about that. Like, let's just deal with the Batman characters. There's all these different versions of Robin, and there's Nightwing, and there's all these other villains, and there's so much of like the Bat family and the Bat characters to explore that you don't need to bring in Superman and Wonder Woman and those. I mean, maybe way down the road, if they want to do something with a new set of Justice League actors, and then maybe you do that. But right now, just focus on all these characters because there's so many great characters because they've never really had. I mean, Robin was in Batman Forever and Batman and Robin, but those are Batman and Robin's terrible. Robin was name checked, obviously, in The Dark Knight Rises in a very cool moment with Joseph Gordon-Levitt, but I mean, he wasn't really Robin. Like that wasn't really his name. That was like his first name or something. But we've never really explored like the Nightwing stuff. Now we have in Titans, and it's been great, and that's been the best part of Titans has been the Batman stuff. But on the big screen, we haven't seen that, and there's just so much there. And like again with Zoe Kravitz, like she could definitely do a Catwoman movie by herself and fight, whatever the villain is or whoever she's taking on. Like she could definitely headline it. And interestingly enough, this isn't the first time she's played Catwoman. Do you know that she's played Catwoman before?
What, like a voiceover or something?
Yeah, she was the voice of Catwoman in the Lego Batman movie.
Oh, okay.
So,
I didn't watch that one. I've only seen the Lego movie.
I've seen it, but I didn't know that. Okay.
I mean, Catwoman only has like one line. I mean, there's so
Yeah.
many characters in that movie. I mean, it's kind of funny. It's
Those
not
movies
my
are cute.
favorite, but
Those
yeah.
movies are cute. So I want to point out real quick that we've got a lot of, you know, actors that have crossed over from like Marvel to DC, you know, with respect to
Yeah.
this movie. Like Zoey Kravitz, she has been an X-Men character in X-Men First Class, which is a Marvel property. And then we've got Colin Farrell, I know, who plays Penguin, which I still can't believe that that's actually him with the bodysuit. George, you mentioned the whole Joe Pesci thing. I think that would have been like the most perfect analogy at this point. I'm going to see if I can pull up the picture of Colin Farrell as
You know, I didn't know that was
Penguin.
Colin Farrell, so I looked it up right now.
Yeah, no, I think that's okay. That's hilarious, actually. So here, here we go. Moving on. So the fact that you know, so the fact that we have Colin Farrell, he's been in the Ben Affleck Daredevil. He was Bullseye. Can't stand that movie. But I can't believe the transformation in the sense of, you know, making him Colin Farrell, because he's an extremely good looking man, making him look into this despicable type Penguin character. Now, it's no Danny DeVito Penguin, of course. That was a completely literal interpretation, in my opinion. But this is
this one's way better, by the way.
Yeah. So, and other characters I want to point out, then I'm very curious to hear y'all's opinion about the villains in this movie. Jeffrey Wright, who was the Watcher, he's the voice of the Watcher in What If, and he plays Commissioner Gordon, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, Lieutenant Gordon, or he's
Lieutenant
not commissioner yet. Yeah.
Okay, so and then we also have Andy Serkis. Andy Serkis plays Alfred Pennyworth. He's also been in oh my god,
Panther movie.
What's that?
He was in Black Panther.
He was, but before that, he was in Age of Ultron. But yeah, so I think it's interesting now that we've got a bunch of these actors who have previously been in Marvel, you know, related movies. Now that they've made, like, they have crossed over to DC, I guess, at this point. So, can y'all talk a little bit about Colin Farrell's Penguin? What was he like? What did y'all think of the performance? And whoever wants to go first, I'll pick on Frank first.
I didn't know that was Colin Farrell until after the movie ended. And I saw the credits. I was like, get the fuck out of here. This is Colin Farrell. What the fuck? Now he did a great job, man. Like it's a different rendition of Penguin, but Colin's such a method actor. Like he just created a whole new vibe and a whole new aura of Penguin, and I dug it. I mean, it's the way the movie is setting up. He's going to be a villain very, very soon, as a main villain very, very soon. You know, you kind of got an origin story from Penguin as well in this movie as well. So he did a great job, man. I mean, what can I say? The guy's a beast when it comes to acting.
Yeah, I would agree with that. George.
No, I already said my piece.
That's true.
I thought it was Joe Pesci the whole fucking time.
I can see it though. I can definitely see it. You know, especially with we were rewatching. Oh God, what's one of those? Goodfellas. Yeah, thank you. Or was it Casino? One of the two. Either way, Joe Pesci's in those movies, and even just like this picture that we have on the screen, it kind of commands like power in a way. You know,
it's just how his mannerisms, how he talks, like he's like a mob boss or type shit. Like it just sounds like him.
Okay. And Justin, what was your whole overall take of Colin Farrell as Penguin?
Yeah, I thought he was great. He, you know, we get to see the Iceberg Lounge that he's kind of managing. He is Carmine Falcone's like underling in the movie, and you know, he's not really a mob boss yet, but he's kind of rising to that level. Yeah. And yeah, I mean, and then he has one of the best scenes in the movie with the chase scene with the Batmobile, the fire and stuff. That was an awesome scene. And we'll talk more about the Batmobile here in a little bit, but yeah, no, I mean, Colin Farrell was awesome. And, you know, also kind of note, back in, I think 2002, he was slated to play Batman in a Batman versus Superman movie back then where Jude Law was going to be Superman. So obviously that movie didn't happen, but he got to be in a Batman movie 20 years later.
Which that's actually kind of interesting just because I'm going to pull a Harry Potter relation to this. Both Colin Farrell and Jude Law have been in the Fantastic Beasts franchise, which is kind of a prequel to Harry Potter, both playing different characters, of course. But I think that's just kind of interesting how like they were going to be slated to be in a movie together and then they're in a different franchise. Anyway, so the other villain in this movie that I don't know anything about him is Paul Dano, or aka he's that's the actor, but he plays the Riddler. So is the Riddler this guy right here that we have on screen?
Yep.
Okay,
That's the Riddler.
This to me kind of reminds me of Scarecrow from Batman Begins, which that's my least favorite movie from the Nolan trilogy. What's this dude's deal?
He is
I'm
an
assuming
orphan.
It's very different. I'm assuming he's different than the Jim Carrey Riddler in Batman Forever, which, by the way, is one of my favorite Batman movies.
Although he is wearing the same glasses that Jim Carrey wore in the movie.
Yeah, I saw that.
Yeah, which is pretty interesting. No, he's basically he was an orphan who grew up in Wayne Manor, and in this version of Batman, Wayne Manor was a children's home. The Waynes actually lived in Wayne Tower. They donated their mansion to this orphanage. He grew up in the orphanage, and there's a book about this movie. There's a prequel book that I read a couple days before the movie, and it gives you a really good background on Batman, on the Riddler, on the Batmobile. There's a lot of really cool stuff. I recommend anybody, if you're really interested in this movie, to check out this book. And it's a light read. I mean, it's like 120 pages. Like I flew through it like in an hour and a half.
What's it called?
And it's called Before the Batman. I think Brittany might actually have an image if you can throw it up there.
I do.
Of the book. But the Riddler, there's the book right there. It's called Before the Batman. I got it on Amazon. It was like $10, and I thought it was awesome. Like, and I'm not a big reader, as y'all probably know, but I was really interested in the movie, so I read this, and there's a lot of really cool information in the book. The Riddler, like I said, he's an orphan growing up in Wayne Manor, and he sees Bruce Wayne, and obviously he doesn't like Bruce Wayne, because of the fact that Bruce Wayne, becomes an orphan, and everyone feels sorry for him because his parents are killed, which we don't see in this movie, which that's good that we don't see that in this one. But he's like, everyone's feeling sorry for this poor billionaire kid. Meanwhile, we're these orphans, and we live like he even says in the movie, there were like 20 of them in a room or whatever. And in the winters, it was so cold that kids would die and stuff like that. He talks about his life. And in the book, he grows up, and he eventually becomes like a forensic accountant, which that's what he's mentioned as his employee, what he does for a living in this movie. But before that, like when he's like in high school or college, he actually burns down Wayne Manor because so he's always had an axe to grind against Bruce Wayne and against the Waynes. But yeah, I mean, Paul Dano was great in this role, and the Riddler is obviously the main villain in the movie. And I'll let somebody else talk. I've done a lot of talking about the Riddler. So George, you go.
So this is the thing that like fucked with me, was like the scene where they're in the prison scene or wherever, and he just starts saying Bruce Wayne. The whole fucking movie.
Yep.
I assume that this motherfucker knew that he was Batman.
I thought the same thing.
Batman.
Yep.
And honestly, I still think he does. I think he does know it, and he's just fucking with him. And I think he's just gonna keep that to himself, because he said it at first, like Bruce Wayne's like, we almost had him, whatever. And then he says Bruce Wayne again after that shit. So I think he's just fucking with him. He just want to see, like, just kind of like tell him, like, yes, I know your secret. Like, I'm not gonna tell anyone, but I'm gonna hold this shit over you.
Yeah.
I think that's something I could play on later on, especially that now that he met the Joker and shit in that prison cell.
Yeah.
But I don't know, that fucked with me. That was a turn that I was kind of annoyed at. I was like, damn, how did this motherfucker, like, how did he figure it out? Like, I'd love to see like the explanation and everything, which he was so close. He could have had like everything figured out, because when he sent the note the bomb to Bruce Wayne's house, right? He knew Bruce Wayne doesn't go out. He's like a recluse. He literally stays at home all the time.
Right.
That should be the clue right there. If he's that fucking smart, he should know that if he wasn't there, Bruce Wayne would be Batman. Why the fuck would he not be home?
Yeah, George, I totally agree with you. In fact, the first time I saw the movie, I thought he knew, and then I was listening to a podcast afterwards, and they were saying, "Oh no, he didn't know," and I was like, I think he does know. But then when I saw it the second time, I was like, okay, I get it. I get what they're talking about, where you're right. He's saying Bruce Wayne or
It
whatever.
made it seem like he didn't know. Like
Right.
in the
Like,
movie, it seems like he doesn't know, but I think he secretly knows.
I think he does, but but in the movie, they do make it like that he doesn't know, which
I know.
is very, very like,
That's just my theory. That's what I'm saying. I'm not
Yeah.
saying that's true, but that's my theory, that I think that he really does know.
Frank, what'd you think about that and just the Riddler overall?
I thought he knew when he was screaming at him in Arkham. I just thought he knew that was Bruce Wayne because Bruce Wayne Batman looks spooked. So I just assumed that he knew. Like he looked super spooked, and then like it looked like his world was crashing down. Like, oh shit, I've been Batman 2 years already. My identity is already up in the air due to this crazy villain that I'm going against. But I mean, the way you guys are explaining it, maybe he didn't know. Maybe it was just him just screaming the name out of frustration that this kid got all the praise and all the sorrows, while him and all of his orphan comrades were fighting for scraps, I guess.
That's true, but here's another like thing for my theory that he knew. He kept saying to Bruce Wayne, "You're seeing him freak the fuck out like that, right? You're seeing Batman freak out for this reason. Like, why are you saying whatever? Like, that should be a clue right there too. Like, yo, why are you doing this? Like, and then he just tells them like he didn't know.
Yeah, no, I agree with you. I thought that was kind of a weird part of the movie. I don't know if it, yeah, I don't know. I think that might be a problem with the movie.
Who plays Joker in this movie?
So it's the actor. He was Druig in the Eternals. His name is Barry. I think it's Keown is how you pronounce his name, and he is
It's a very
Joker.
Irish name.
Yeah. Now in the credits, he's credited as unseen Arkham prisoner.
Joker?
What's that?
That was Joker?
Officer Stanley.
Yeah.
I thought it was Two-Face for a second, the way that the side profile.
I thought that too. I couldn't tell if it was Two-Face or Joker, but then the laugh and everything and the smile kind of like made it seem like I was like, oh, okay, it's Joker.
Yeah, no, it's definitely Joker.
Okay.
It's Joker. Okay.
And Matt Reeves has said that everyone's like, oh, you're going to do the Joker in the second movie. He said that's not necessarily the case. He's just establishing that there is a Joker already in this world.
Okay.
Because I actually don't think the Joker is going to be the villain in the second movie. I mean, he might be in the movie, but I don't think he's going to be the main villain like he was like in The Dark Knight.
I hope not. I just think that would be just so lazy to bring Joker back again. There's so many characters, from the Mad Hatter to Clayface to Two-Face. Like you have so many of these characters that haven't been. Well, Two-Face has been used in Dark Knight, but you have so many characters that haven't been. Killer Croc, like all these different characters have not been touched yet. That you can expound this world on.
I don't know about Killer Croc if he's going to happen, because this is pretty much a grounded universe, at least right now it is. I don't know. Like, I don't know if we're going to see the supernatural kind of villains. I mean, but maybe we'll eventually. Who knows? But the one of my problems with the movie is, man, Batman gets shot a lot in this movie. Like, I mean, I know he has armor. Yes. I know he has armor on, and but he gets shot up close a lot, and he has a bomb explode in his face. Like there's a lot of stuff that happens.
Justin, you know what I told Anna when we were watching this fucking movie? I was like, can no one shoot this motherfucker in the chin?
Yeah, I know.
He got a shotgun blast. Like, why just not aim up towards his face?
Right.
That was insane.
I mean, that scene whenever he's fighting those guys in the hallway,
in the dark,
and, like, all you see is the flash, which it's basically the same scene that's in Rogue One with Darth Vader, because the same person shot the scene.
Yeah,
the same guy that did that scene in Rogue One did the Batman. It's such an awesome looking scene, and that same scene's also in the third Planet of the Apes movies with the apes and Woody Harrelson's character.
Yeah.
They do it again, and it's also cool in that movie. But you're right, like there's like 3 guys with the machine guns. How did not one of them shoot him in the face in some way? You know, like it's a movie.
Are they stormtroopers?
Right, exactly. Maybe they were.
Yeah. I mean,
And
honestly, it could have been.
And then the second thing about the Batman, I mean, it's a movie. I understand that we don't want to see Batman just be shot in the head or him die from falling. But the part where he gets in that suit where he can fly, that squirrel suit or whatever,
that was funny. That was.
And then
so
whenever
funny.
he pulls his the parachute under a bridge, he hits that right above a bus, and he just eats shit. Like he hits so hard, like. And you're like, how does he not have like every body in his every bone in his body should be broken? I mean, like just he hits
Why
the
didn't he go
pavement so
over
hard.
the bridge? That's my question.
I don't
He
know.
was controlling it. He literally could have just like gone up, pulled the parachute.
Yeah, it seems like to me they're trying to show that this is very like young Batman. He doesn't totally know.
That makes sense.
Because like that was like, why would you like if I were doing that, I'd be terrified that I'm about to die, but I wouldn't do it right there because I'm like, I'm gonna guarantee my death right there. I might I'm either gonna hit the bridge or I'm gonna hit the bridge and the bus is gonna run over me. You know what I mean? Like, how about I just do it where there's no car, there's no one, like I don't know. That part definitely I mean, it looked cool until he hit the ground. But
I think you're right, Jay. I think they're making it seem like he's still young. He still has a lot to learn.
Yeah, because I don't think he'd ever done that before. You know what I mean? Like I don't think because even when he got up there, he was like, whoa, like he looked down and he saw how far it was. And all the other Batman movies, he just kind of used his cape, and his cape would have the material would be where he could kind of glide. It'd be like a glider. But this one, he had like this full suit that just he pushed a button or whatever, and then jumped. Yeah,
There was a scene towards the end of the movie he got shot by like a shotgun. Like, oh yeah, close. I'm like, come on, bro. Like, how's he not have internal bleeding, bro? A shotgun, bro, like point blank range.
Well, I mean, he did have armor. He had armor on his chest, like upper torso. But no, I mean, bro, he did. That's armor. Like it's meant to be. Yeah,
I get that, but he got shot like 65 times and then a shotgun. Yeah. Like, I don't care what armor you have. I don't care if it's vibranium. You're not taking that, bro. And you human, dog. Like, come on, bro. Like the impact alone from a shotgun is gonna cave your chest in. Cause the impact alone, he's not fucking Thor. Like, he's a human being. Like,
yeah.
And bro, there's no there's no like internal bleeding. There's no like there's nothing. Like, he just gets up and goes home. Like, come on, bro.
Also, I just want to say, poor city planning from the city of Gotham for creating this fucking city next to a little shitty levee wall that can literally just be blown up and the whole city's fucked.
Wait. You're not criticizing a city for having flooding issues, are you? And you because you know how it is in Houston. If it rains a little bit too much, it floods. If the wind blows a little bit too much, we lose power. If it's kind of colder, we lose power. Like we're the energy capital of the world. But anyway.
And definitely when a levee breaks, like we're gonna be without water for quite a bit of time.
But
or it's contaminated.
Gotham is fucked. It was the same way in Dark Knight, the same way in Justice League. Like there was a flood in 3 Gotham scenes in 3 different movies.
But is this Gotham right next to Metropolis? Inquiring minds want to know.
They don't say that.
I don't know.
Oh goodness. So I've been listening to you guys talk about like the movies, the characters, of course, the performances, and what have you. I'm still not 100% sold on watching this movie either in theaters or when it comes out on HBO Max, because I really just don't want to give money to this thing. One thing y'all haven't talked about at this point, and I know Justin probably really wants to talk about it now, is the Batmobile. How does the Batmobile compare to others?
So when I first saw this Batmobile design a couple of years ago, I wasn't too keen on it because it's not like, I think the 89, the key Batmobile is the coolest one, and I think like if I were going to drive one in a city, I think I'd want to drive the Tumbler from the Dark Knight. like and that the Dark Knight trilogy. That's like probably would be my favorite
Yeah.
because it's like a tank basically, but it's like very quick. The Snyder cut mobile, or I guess Batman vs Superman, that one was pretty cool. I mean, all of them have been pretty cool, but this one is like the most like if a real person were going to have a real car, it would be this one because this car is like it's a combination of a couple different like 60s and 70s muscle cars. It's like a Plymouth Barracuda mixed with some other kind of engine. It's like some kind of.
I'm getting Knight Rider vibes, like just by looking at this photo here. I don't know. It's making me like, where's Hasselhoff? You know,
it's cool though. It's a cool car.
The first scene where I saw it, I was like, "Holy shit! Dominique Toretto is here." The crossover Justin wanted.
Family. Your mom and dad might be gone, but we're family.
Right. His real the real Bat family shows up, and it's the Fast family. And suddenly we have the only thing that could rival the MCU. If you put the Bat family with the Fast family, Kevin Feige's gonna be like, what the hell? I got almost new ideas because now you got competition.
Trillion dollar box office hit right there.
Yeah, there you go.
Oh my god!
You know,
I think it's cool. I'd love to drive this car. I think it's the way the car enters the movie when it fires up and it's almost like growling at the Penguin and his guys. Yeah,
it was so sick.
And then that whole chase scene is like amazing. What's that?
If Peacemaker shows up in Gotham and interrupts him, he's like, "Hey, you look a guy I once knew. You look a family member I once knew."
There you go.
Just cuts off.
Did you watch Peacemaker, Frank?
I have not. It's on my watch list though.
Yeah, it's good.
Let's talk about Alfred, man.
Wait, but I'm not done with the Batmobile. I'm Batmobile.
I'm sorry. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
I have questions. What is the Tesseract doing in the Batmobile? Like,
no, that's the engine firing up.
No,
it is.
It's
like a jet engine.
Is like the arc reactor that's been put inside the Batmobile. Like, are we not getting Iron Man, Tony Stark vibes here? Come on,
it's a screen. Well, Batman always has tech.
It's actually like a flame. Like when you see it in the movie, it doesn't look like that because it just looks like a flame shooting out.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, fine.
We're just getting a screen grab of right before it lights.
Yeah.
And, takes
you
off.
Can see the flame there. Yeah.
Sure. We'll go with that, y'all.
I don't know. I think it's a cool car. I would love to have one.
I'm not saying otherwise. I'm just saying like we've got total, like arc reactor, vibes inside this vehicle. Now, like the back of this car looks pretty freaking sweet once I can get the photo to, pop up on here. Here we go. Yeah, I mean this Batmobile thing looks cool. I mean, y'all keep saying this is year 2, year 3 Batman. So when you say that, you quite literally mean he just became Batman like 2 years ago. Is that?
Yeah, this is his second year of being Batman. Yeah, so that's why all the tech is, it's not completely.
Basic.
He hasn't got it all figured out yet, and just like how he hasn't got Bruce Wayne figured out either. He's more worried about getting vengeance, which, in the movie they literally call him Vengeance. I mean, he says. When one of the guys asks him, like, what are you supposed to be? He's like, after he beats the hell out of the guy, just brutally beats the guy.
I am Vengeance.
He's like, I'm Vengeance. And then, throughout the movie, Selena Kyle, she calls him Vengeance like several times. It's kind of weird, kind of endearing, but also kind of weird. And then at the end of the movie, he realizes.
What does he call her? What does he call her? Kitty?
He doesn't really call her.
Pussycat, yeah.
Yeah.
I'm glad you added that extra word there. Okay.
He calls her Selena. He calls her Selena, by the way.
Frank, you wanted to talk about Alfred. I'm very curious about Andy Serkis being Alfred Pennyworth in this movie.
I didn't get enough Alfred. That's my only beef with this, man. I wish I had more Alfred because Alfred is, especially him being year 2 Batman. Alfred's a former spy. He's plugged into this world. He knows the ropes. I really wish they would have used Alfred a little bit more in the detective work. Because there was I mean, for 3 hours there was 20, 30, 45 minutes in between. I didn't see Alfred at all, and it's just like, dude, I need more Alfred. I mean, Andy Serkis is a great actor. Like, let's utilize him. The last couple of Alfreds have been really good. Him and then what was the guy in Justice League? That Alfred.
You're talking about Jeremy Irons.
Yeah, those
Jeremy Irons is a legend.
Yeah.
Yes.
Did any of you guys watch that Pennyworth show?
I haven't watched it yet, but they're getting the third season's going to be on HBO Max.
Frank?
Oh, maybe I'll watch it.
I haven't watched it. I don't.
Okay.
I don't really. Batman's
I
characters
was
are not strong enough for me to watch a whole show of a non-Batman character. So I never watched Gotham. I don't care. I don't care about any of the characters like that. Like
Gotham wasn't bad, dude. Like the first couple seasons, I actually liked it. And then after a while,
My parents watched Gotham. They
It's
said they
just-
enjoyed it.
it's just I don't care for Commissioner Gordon. Like I just
Yeah.
I don't.
Mm.
I don't.
it wasn't
watch-
bad. Bro.
Like if I watch a superhero adjacent movie about a side character, I'm not gonna fucking watch a cop. I'm not.
Yeah.
I'm just not like, it has to be like
So-
an actual hero.
So Frank, what really stands out for you for this Alfred Pennyworth adaptation? Like what stood out for you, other than the fact that obviously there wasn't enough screen time of this Alfred? I mean, what stood out?
The times that he was with Bruce, there's a unforeseen father-son connection there. Even though Bruce is still uncertain, like he's still the death of his family, his mother and father. Alfred, in year 2 Batman, Alfred is bringing the man trying to keep him on steady on the course, to try and keep him steady on like, hey, you still gotta be Bruce Wayne, you still gotta do all these things. Batman is just a small part of who you are. So many people count on you. So he's giving him advice. And like so the toolage that I love, the toolage that I saw kind of when you saying and Christian Bale's the toolage section of that relationship. I love that, and I mean you can't go wrong with Andy Serkis, man. He's great. I just wish I saw more of him.
Okay, I'm with that. And you say Jeffrey Wright's character he's Lieutenant Gordon in this movie. He's not commissioner
he's
yet.
Gordon, yeah.
And as I mentioned, he's the voice of the Watcher in What If. I think Jeffrey Wright is a phenomenal actor as well. He's kind of got like this very distinct, voice, which is obviously why he was cast in What If. Thoughts on his portrayal as Gordon?
He's also Batman in the Batman audio adventures on HBO Max too. He does the voice of Batman. No, I mean,
How funny.
Jeffrey Wright's awesome. Him and Pattinson's Bruce Wayne Batman. They have a great like already like teamwork. Even though Jeffrey Wright admits, "Hey, I don't know, dude. I don't know who you are. Like I trust you, but I don't even know your name." So even in year 2, they have a camaraderie that's really strong, and like they meet at the bat symbol, which is I thought that was kind of a unique take on it. It wasn't just the bat symbol isn't always just a call for Batman. It's a call for Batman, but it's literally a call like for them to meet up and talk. Thought that was a really cool addition to the old Batman mystique or story. But no, he's great. I think he's a great Gordon. I mean, he's right. I mean, it's only one movie, but he's right there kind of with the Gordon in the Dark Knight trilogy, which Gary Oldman. I think he's
Gary
like
Oldman.
on that level already, I think.
See, and Gary Oldman's portrayal as Gordon in that trilogy, and I'm also very partial to Gary Oldman. And like I said, he's fucking legend. He's been Dracula, he's been in the Harry Potter movies, he's been in like so many other movies that I can't name and rattle off right now, but like he's legend. So I guess for me personally, whenever I watch this movie, if I watch this movie, I'm going to be comparing these characters to their predecessors, right? Although it's probably
I think that's
completely
natural
different storyline.
Yeah.
Because for me, I think next to the Nolan Batmans, it's going to be the Michael Keaton Batmans for me that come immediately after. Everything else is just like whatever.
And that right there, sorry, let me just say this real quick. That right there is the one thing that DC has an issue with that Marvel doesn't, because in DC we've all seen these characters on screen multiple times, whereas in Marvel we haven't. Like eventually one day there will be another Tony Stark, and that's going to be weird, but that's going to happen.
Disastrous.
Whereas with Marvel, we really have only, there's been a couple different takes of Daredevil, but they aren't really connected. And there's been obviously a couple different takes of Spider-Man, with Spider-Man obviously most famously, but they found a way to make that all work. But, like eventually down the road, there's going to be new actors playing these characters in different takes. And you're going to compare them to what you've seen. That's just natural, So go ahead, Brittany.
Yeah. I was just gonna say too, we have also had different adaptations of the Incredible Hulk as well. But like Frank, you said something that made me think, because now I'm on this Charlie Cox Daredevil kick. And I'm hoping, because I haven't found a source that confirms it, I'm hoping that when Daredevil and all come to Disney Plus later this week, that there will be a new season of Daredevil, because I need me some more Charlie Cox. I mean, that man's incredible as Matt Murdock / Daredevil. There was a scene in season 3, it's kind of a spoiler for Justin, where you kind of have like this identity crisis of, is Matt Murdock really Matt Murdock, or is he Daredevil? And the mask is Matt Murdock, which is very similar to what y'all were talking about earlier with this Batman. He is Batman. The mask that he wears is Bruce Wayne, correct? So, and then the fact that, like, I think I shared this with you, Frank, earlier last week, of Robert Pattinson, Charlie Cox, and Andrew Garfield, like, all were roommates, together growing up. They're all like really good friends. And I was just like, this is just so crazy to see, like, they all become like superheroes to a degree. And, they're all English, with the exception of Andrew Garfield. He was born here but grew up in England. Sorry, that's just sidebar. But I think that dynamic of this identity crisis kind of thing is really fascinating, and I hope that could be developed, because I don't know how often we've ever seen a Batman kind of like origin story where you see him in the very early stages of, becoming Batman. You know what I mean?
Christian Bale was that way.
Well, but aside from that, he wasn't like an extremely young Batman. Am I right, or am I right?
I mean, it's called Batman Begins. It's where he begins. I mean,
yeah, but I'm just saying, it just seems like Robert Pattinson seems to be like he appears to be a younger, Batman.
I think it's just a different take. So that
what was that, George?
You mean like age-wise?
Age-wise, yes.
Okay.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about.
Well, shit, in Gotham, you see Bruce Wayne as a kid.
Oh, I didn't watch Gotham, so that's what I'm saying. Like, for me personally, I haven't seen him, but he wasn't Batman yet. We haven't seen that whole, like, how he's evolved into coming Batman, aside from the Christian Bale one. And I forget about that one because that's not my favorite one from the Nolan trilogy. Anyway, I just wanted to point out the parallel of Charlie Cox, Daredevil, to Robert Pattinson's Batman. Thank you, Frank, for opening my eyes to Daredevil. I should have listened to you earlier. Anyway, moving on.
Well, I mean, Daredevil and Batman are very similar characters. I mean, obviously Daredevil's blind, but like they're very similar. Like, it's the same thing. He lost his dad, or his dad died. Daredevil's dad died, and he was blinded, and he's also fluent, although he's he's made his money as a lawyer. He's not a billionaire's son, but I mean, it's similar. It's similar. It's
just as like he's blind, bats are blind, same.
I mean,
exactly.
Seriously, like that's not. I mean, there was a crossover comic in like the 2000s where it was Daredevil and Batman together. So that.
Oh wow.
That I'm not the only person to make this comparison or this analog. So
that's true.
That's cool.
So Justin, I know you have rankings.
I do, but before I get to that, I want to talk about the music. Well, there's one more actor I want to highlight.
Okay,
and that's John Turturro, who plays Carmine Falcone.
Great actor.
I thought I knew he was Carmine Falcone going into the movie, but I didn't know he was going to have such a huge part in the movie. What did George, start with you? What did you think about John Turturro's Carmine Falcone?
Yeah, no, I love that guy as an actor. And pretty much in every role he's in, he always does great. But no, he was cool. He played like a badass mob boss, head of the family, whatever. And I guess seeing that relationship with his daughter, with Catwoman, that was interesting. Definitely, he tried to kill her. That shit was wild.
Yeah, like he killed her mother apparently by strangling her. Yeah.
Yes, that was pretty fucked up. And honestly, like, I don't know how Catwoman missed that shot. It was insane. She literally had him right there. It's impossible to miss like that. But honestly, he's a badass actor, and I think he did great in the role.
Yeah. Frank, what'd you think about Falcone? And what'd you think about him being Catwoman's father and the whole Wayne's Falcone's tie-in?
that that came up around what the 220 mark of the movie when I came
Yeah.
up. By then I was already fatigued. I was just like, bro, let's wrap this shit up. Like it was they had Falcone doing way too much with the whole Thomas Wayne scenario. Thomas Wayne wanted him to scare the witness, and him killing Thomas Wayne and killing Catwoman's mom. It was just too much. I just feel like, I mean, the actor himself did a great job, but I don't know. I just feel like they connected Batman and Selina way too much because like in the comic books, they really just meet out of nowhere. There's no connection as far as the origin stories and how like the
Yeah.
life was affected by one man. So I get it. Matt Reeves trying to make his own path with all these origin stories. It just, I don't know. I don't want to get too convoluted from the actual Batman storyline as it is.
Hmm.
But the actor did a great job. I mean, he was great in Transformers. He's great on a bunch of other movies I've seen him in.
Yeah, I mean there are some comics where Carmine Falcone is Catwoman's father. So that's not totally like a
Really?
new that's
Oh, I know
that's not a
that.
totally new idea, but the thing about the the whole Falcone and Wayne thing that I enjoyed is there's a video game series there's like a Telltale series that's on like PlayStation, Xbox the last couple of years. And in that storyline, the Waynes are not good people. The Waynes are gangsters, and Bruce learns that they're gangsters. And
Hmm.
so he learns from Carmine Falcone in a very similar sequence where he's like at a pool table and Carmine Falcone's playing like what happens in the movie. And he explains, "Hey, your dad is dirty as hell." And in this movie, they hint that that's the case because there's this journalist. His name is something Elliot. It's let me look up real quick. His name is it's like Tommy. Okay, so the journalist's name is Edward Elliot, and he has got some dirt on the Waynes and the fact that Martha is actually from the Arkham family.
Yeah.
And the Arkham family, they're this powerful family, and so are the Waynes. So their houses merge, if you will. And apparently, we find out that Martha had mental problems, and Thomas was trying to keep that on the down low. This journalist discovered this, and Thomas Wayne basically was offering hush money, which they show hush on the screen in big letters. Which Hush is a Batman villain whose name is Thomas Elliot, who is the great grandson of this journalist who goes after Batman because of what happened to his great grandfather. So I like how they set that up, and I don't know that everyone understood that. If you have to be really like deep into Batman, like there's a Batman animated movie from like the last couple of years called Hush
Hush,
on
yeah.
HBO Max. It's pretty good. It's based on this whole storyline. So I like that part of it. But with the whole like Wayne's being bad guys, Carmine Falcone's like, yeah, your dad was a bad man, or he did bad stuff or whatever. And then the very next scene, Bruce goes to the hospital where Alfred is, and Alfred's like, no, that's not the case. Like your dad, made a mistake, but he wasn't like, he didn't have this guy killed, and he was going to go to the cops and say, look, this is not what I wanted to happen or whatever. And so they kind of did it like part way. They kind of made the Waynes be dirty, whereas in all the other movies, the Waynes are like God level, like they're just like they're like the greatest people that ever lived. And so I did like how they kind of dirtied up the family, because that made sense for the way Pattinson's portrayal of the character. But they didn't go all the way. And I kind of understand that, because it is kind of weird for like, Bruce's family to be completely dirty. But anyway, I really enjoyed that part of the movie. And obviously Falcone was great. And like I said, I knew he was in the movie, but I had no idea he had such a huge part in the movie. So that pretty much wraps up all the main characters in the movie. What did y'all think about the music in this
The
movie?
score was great,
Yeah.
especially like the scenes where the race car scene, like where they're driving. That was my favorite. That was my favorite setup with the beat that was going off. It was so fucking sick.
Yeah. The dun 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 dun. Yeah, and then like I like how like that.
Very Star Warsy, like
Yeah, I was just
Yeah,
gonna say
no, it
that sounds
does.
very Star Warsy.
It does, but it's good. And in the way like they took that song "Something in the Way," which is a Nirvana song, and the way they weave that song into the movie twice, and the way that song they added that theme to that song
Yeah.
Right? Because it's kind of in that song anyway. It's so brilliant. And that Michael Giacchino, he's the guy that did the Tom Holland Spider-Man movie. So this guy like is on a roll right now with music. And I think like the score for this movie, I think is like the most. I mean, like the thing about Batman is you've had great scores also. You like from the Tim Burton movies with Danny Elfman to the Dark Knight trilogy with Hans Zimmer. The Hans Zimmer ones are just so epic, and the way those 3 movies end with that music, that dun dun dun, that like that's just such an awesome like soundtrack. But I think this movie is like right up there with those, like because of the soundtrack. It's so strong, and it's where like, for example, like the Snyder Cut, or at least the Batman vs Superman didn't have that. Like Batman had a theme, but like as big of a fan of this stuff as I am, I couldn't tell you that theme. Whereas like I know those themes, these other Batman movies or these other Superman movies or whatever, you know the theme right away. It just wasn't as like script, and it wasn't as like it wasn't as much of a standout as it was in this movie. So anyway, I really enjoyed the score. Yeah, so I guess I did some rankings that I posted them on Twitter a little over a week ago of all the Batman movies. And so Brittany's got that on the screen. So my one like little caveat was, well, there's actually 2. It was going to be only live action. So no animated stuff, no Lego Batman, no Mask of the Phantasm. And it was going to be movies, solo Batman movies. So I didn't count the Snyder Cut. I didn't count Batman vs Superman because that's not really a Batman movie. It's not really a Superman movie. It's like a pre-Justice League movie. So anyway, here are my rankings. I got the Dark Knight number 1, Batman Begins number 2, Dark Knight Rises 3, The Batman checks in at number 4. I've got Batman 89 at 5, Batman Forever at 6, Batman Returns at 7, Batman 66 at 8, and then Batman and Robin at last at 9th. What do y'all think about those rankings, and how would y'all rank the Batman movies?
Ooh. So I'm gonna have to put the Batman dead last for me because I obviously have not watched it. That's just, because I have to. I think, Justin, I might be pretty on par with you, with the exception of switching Batman Begins with Dark Knight Rises, just because that's my least favorite out of the Nolan trilogy. But then everything else just like moves up, one spot. So I would flip those 2 around, and then I have to put, for me, the Batman at the very, very end because I haven't seen it.
Okay. George, what do you think about how would you rank the Batman movies?
I agree with your entire list except Batman Begins at 3, Dark Knight Rises at 2.
Okay. George,
Everything
Frank,
else is the
what do you think, Frank?
I'm in a minority. I love Tom Hardy's Bane. He's my favorite Batman villain of all time.
Yeah.
So I got Batman Dark Knight Rises 1, Dark Knight 2. Batman Begins is the third will probably be Batman 8, 1989. Fourth, the Batman. I never seen the 1968 Batman. Is that the one Adam West?
Yeah. 66. Yeah.
66. Yeah.
I seen TV show, but not the actual movie. So I'll put that second last, and Batman and Robin last.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. I mean, I think that this movie, I don't think it's better than the Nolan movies, but I think it's up there. It's very good. I mean, like, I don't think it's like, it's not bad by any stretch of the imagination. I think it's like, for like, I don't, so like, if you ask me like, what's better, this or Spider-Man No Way Home, I think that's a tough one for me to answer because I think Spider-Man No Way Home is just filled with like these epic moments that I'll remember forever. So I think it stands out. But I mean, this is a very good movie. You know what I'm saying? This is like a very good self-contained movie.
That's not a comparison for me, dude. Like,
Well,
it's not even close.
That's fine. I mean, I understand, but I mean, like, this movie is like not like people that think that like Batman versus Superman is better than this. I just don't.
Oh
I don't
God.
see how. I don't see
That'd be-
how.
That's ridiculous.
Yeah, I mean, like this, like there's stuff in this movie you can poke holes in, but like they explain almost everything, and everything kind of makes sense. Like that's, I don't know.
I kind of want to.
That's just my soapbox.
I want to
ahead.
throw in the Joker on here. I mean, I know it's not like in the same, line of things, but in the terms of, live action Solo,
But there's no Batman in the Joker.
I mean, he's a kid, okay? You
No, but he's
pointed
not
that out
Batman.
earlier.
You just pointed out
I
that there's no
know.
Batman. Okay.
I know that. I know. I'm just saying I want to throw in the Joker here just because I really enjoy the Joker. I mean, it's within that world, but it's obviously not a Batman movie. But that would be
Okay.
number one for me.
Sounds good. Okay, let's get to now what are some of your favorite things and what are some nitpicks? Let's start out with what are some favorite things that we haven't talked about that y'all want to mention in the movie?
Can I throw in something with that too? What are your favorite things, and then what would you change in the movie?
Yeah.
Someone else go first. Let me think.
I've got a couple of things if you want me to. I like the contact lenses thing. That was cool with the tech, the contact lenses that recorded whatever it saw.
Oh.
And he had Selena wear them to that club. I thought the contact lens tech was really cool. I liked the part at the end whenever after he took that gunshot blast into the chest, you think he's about to die. And he, from his utility belt, he pulls out this like green, which appeared to be like a adrenaline shot or something. No, it was an adrenaline shot, but it was green, which is green like the Venom in Batman, which Venom is how Bane is created in the comics. And so I wondered, do y'all think that was Venom? Because Batman uses Venom in the comics before Bane was created. Because like he takes that stuff out, jams it in his leg, and then that fires him up because looked like he was about to die there for a second. You know what I'm talking about? When they were like in that Gotham Square Garden and took that final shot. Yeah. What'd you think about that, Frank?
I just thought it was just pure adrenaline that he keeps just in case he gets fucked off and he needs an extra pick me up. I mean that's a good thought though. It could be Venom. One thing I did like about this movie, I love how violent Batman was. Being so young, all that anger and frustration he's been through from his adolescence to now, not knowing how to hone that anger. I thought Pattinson did a great job of like breaking that down and showcasing that this Batman is fiery. He's like even the scenes of going to the iceberg club like by himself, like all these mobsters, not thinking like Batman. I seasoned Batman when I done that, you know what I'm saying? But like somebody who's just drunk on rage. I thought he did a great job of showing that in the film.
Is there anything that you would have changed in the movie? I mean, one thing y'all talked about kind of consistently is that it's too long of a movie.
Yeah, it's some of the scenes just drug, and I could have used less Batman staring into the abyss scenes. Like it was very.
That's channeling his inner emo, Kurt Cobain, Edward Cullen. I don't know.
Look, man, I love Nirvana, man, but I didn't go to see a Nirvana film. I came to see a Batman film. Like, I don't know. That was just weird to me. But yeah, if it was cut down 40 minutes, I think it would have been perfect.
Okay. All right.
Yeah, George, you have anything you would like to change or anything else that you want to talk about that we haven't mentioned?
The one thing I really enjoyed the movie, it was the cinematography, like the color grading, like the editing on this movie, like just looked fucking sick. Like it's probably like my favorite like interpretation of Gotham, like how it looked like and like how they made it, but they portrayed it. It just looked fucking cool. The thing that I would have changed is the timing, and they cut down scenes, probably like cut down some of how long it takes them to solve some of these fucking riddles. Falcone, I feel like got way too much fucking time. Like they could have wrapped up his story in like maybe like 10 to 15 minutes and like shown that he was a rat the entire time. Like that, I don't know. I feel like that could have been summed up a little quicker.
So one other question I have for y'all, again, haven't seen the movie. Does this movie leave it open for a sequel?
Oh yeah. Yeah, there will be a sequel. Like this is just the
Okay.
beginning of this. I mean, it hasn't been announced yet, but there's going to be a sequel.
Okay.
Before I get
With
to what's next, I just want to say real quick. One of the nitpicks I had, much like how I thought Batman got shot a lot, is like to me the mayor elect, she should have died. Like
Oh, the one that got shot.
she, yeah, like because like she took a gunshot or a couple of gunshots to the chest, and like she went from being laid out on the ground to a few minutes later, she's like, taking Batman's hand and walking through the water, and it's like she should have been either dead or very much in a bad shape. You know what I'm saying? Like that seemed like because I mean they had point blank range. They shot her a couple of times, I think. So that was I didn't really like that part of it either. Not that I'm advocating for people to assassinate political figures, but in that sense, like either there should have been a miss or it should have like got her. I mean, they got her right in the chest. Like if they got her in the shoulder, okay, or like the leg, I get it. But like it's like right to the chest, and it's like I mean, Gordon drags her off the stage like she's, 80-pound sack of potatoes or something. Like not like she's even a person. And then literally 5 minutes later, she's up and moving around and taking Batman's hand, and she's at the press conference speaking afterwards that Gotham is gonna rise from this and get better. And it's like she would be so dead or like
Injured.
on fumes, like you wouldn't be doing that.
their new motto is "We're vengeance."
She can be my mayor any day of the week.
Oh my goodness.
Just
It
saying.
wouldn't be a show without Frank,
saying that.
saying that.
That was a sexy politician.
Speaking of that, like with her name was Bella Real was the character's name. And so in her, she's running for mayor during the movie. And so you'd see these like ad campaigns that like, it's like real change or real change, like that's what they're, I like that stuff. I like the whole renewal project that Thomas Wayne had started, which that's how they, how these gangsters basically funneled all this money. And it was basically, and renewal was like literally all over the movie. Everywhere you went, you saw that word. I thought that was pretty clever in how they worked all that in there.
Real vengeance.
Yeah, I don't know. I thought there was like so much of this movie was very clever, and some of it again it was a little bit too long, but some clever stuff, and I give them credit for you're doing something different. You're doing something that we've had so many versions of this character. You got to do something different. And I think they did that. And, Batman. Go ahead.
I will say this: the Riddler was a little bit too stealthy for me. He murked a lot of cats, dog, in this movie, and he's not stealthy like that. Like he was a little bit too ninja-like, the way he murked all these people in this movie. I'm like, come on, bro. Urkel did all this, dog. Really? Like this is what we doing now?
Well, I mean, who did he killed the mayor? He killed the police commissioner, and he killed Falcone.
The dirty cop as well, right?
And the DA.
DA, yeah.
Yeah.
He killed a lot of high-ranking people, man.
He killed at least 5 to 6 people.
Yeah, he killed a lot.
And then of course he had his group of people that were helping him out at the end.
But he did all the killings himself. There was no
no, I know.
I was like, I don't know if it's believable. I don't know.
But I thought they did a good job.
Is this character like a loser in the comic books or what?
Yeah, he's a loser.
I mean, in the book, like he's a
scientist.
He's a loner. I mean, he's like I said, in this he's a forensic accountant. And
I mean, he's still pretty fucking weird. But yeah,
is he still?
That's the only thing that they had.
Is he still Edward Nygma?
No, it's Edward something else.
Edward Nashton.
Oh. Yeah. I like the name Nygma. Enigma. Edward Nygma. Yeah. I don't know. I'm very partial to Jim Carrey in general. So like his silliness that was shown in The Riddler and Batman Forever, which is the first Batman movie I ever saw in theaters, and sat front row and deeply regretted it thereafter. It has a special place in my heart. But anyway, so
it's a great one.
What could we hope to see in the sequel to the Batman?
Well, first off, we're going to get a Penguin HBO Max series. That's coming.
With Colin Farrell?
Yeah. Cool. And then we're also going to get originally it was going to be a GCPD show, but now it's GCPD, but it's with Arkham Asylum. So it's going to be an Arkham Asylum HBO Max show. So we're getting the Penguin and Arkham Asylum. I think Batman might make an appearance in each series, like maybe one appearance. So that's kind of cool. The sequel hasn't been announced, but there will be a sequel. Obviously, it's going to make $1 billion.
So this is going to be connected. These shows are going to be connected to this movie.
Yes.
This Batman universe.
Yes. This Matt Reeves Pattinson universe is going to have shows, and just like how, like how Peacemaker is connected to the Suicide Squad,
Gotcha.
which is also connected to DCEU. These shows are going to be connected to the Matt Reeves Batman. Yeah.
Gotcha.
So, and like I said, because Batman has so many characters, there's so many options for movies and for shows. So,
cool.
Could Catwoman be getting her own solo film?
She could be, but nothing like that's been announced yet. I think that's probably down the road. I mean, the way that Catwoman and Batman part in this movie, she even says she's going to Bloodhaven, which that's where Nightwing is.
Titans.
That's where
Come on.
Yeah. So
if she shows them Titans, bro, I might scream like a little 14-year-old girl.
No, she won't be in Titans. They won't be connected to that. But the way it's set up,
you gave up Frank's dreams and hopes.
No, I'm just saying the fact that they name checked Bloodhaven, like that was pretty cool. Like in the novel, they name checked Metropolis, but they do make it seem like it's further away, which of course that makes way more sense than what happened with the BVS.
Not across the river.
Not across the street, yeah, where everyone can see the bat symbol. Like that just doesn't make sense. Like Batman and Superman have been in the same area for 18 months, but neither one of them know about the other one. It's like, are they Daredevil? Are they blind too? And I mean, like, even Daredevil would figure that out. He would.
Well, he would hear it. I'm sure.
Exactly. So. Yeah, you think so? Like
all the way from Hell's Kitchen, he'd hear it. Okay.
When Clark Kent works for the greatest newspaper in the world, and then he goes to an event, he doesn't know who Bruce Wayne is, who is one of the richest people in the world, and also the richest person in the town next to his. Like,
yeah.
And at no point did Superman, when he's flying, see the bat symbol, which is right in his fucking backyard. I mean, the logic doesn't make sense.
No.
But yeah, we've got. I mean, the movie. There's going to be a sequel, but that's a good question. What would y'all like to see in the sequel, or who would you like to see in the sequel?
What are other characters, Frank? You named some off earlier that haven't really been featured in other Batman, either series or movies, that kind of thing. Like what characters would you like to see maybe come out?
The other Robins, like the Tim Drakes, the what's the other Robin, George? The second Robin, I think Dick Grayson.
Jason Todd.
Jason Todd. Yeah, but that probably won't come out for like another few years if he does come out. But we've seen a Dick Grayson on the big screen, but we haven't seen the other Robin characters. Batwoman. If Wright has Commissioner Gordon's daughter, Barbara Gordon, that'll be a dope. That'll be a dope. I know Alicia Silverstone played Batwoman in one of the Batman films. Was it Forever?
Batman and Robin. Yeah. She was Alfred's niece in that adaptation.
Yeah. If we can get that, maybe a Barbara Gordon, that'd be dope. I want to see more of the Bat family, and then you have Damian Wayne. You probably want to see him because that's he's but more of the Bat family, I think it'll be kind of dope.
I have a friend who named his son Damian because of Damian Wayne.
He's a badass, man. Damian Wayne.
Yeah, apparently.
I mean, Dick Grayson. If Dick Grayson's there, but Damian's like right there. But Damian kills too, so that's why he's such a bad. He does everything anti-Batman, anti-Robin. He actually kills his villains.
Shit.
So yeah.
Ra's al Ghul is his grandfather. So
So
snap.
Yeah. So
Talia is his mother. So and Batman's obviously his dad. So
Okay.
So So that'll be dope to see him on screen one day.
What about y'all, George, Justin? Anything you'd like to see in the upcoming movie? Any particular characters? Nothing.
Not characters. As long as the story makes sense and is good, I think I'm for it.
Cool.
I mean, I agree with George. Like whatever the story calls for, as long as it makes sense. I have heard that there's been talk that maybe Mr. Freeze would be the villain in the next movie, and it's going to be a more obviously more grounded version of Mr. Freeze. It won't be like the frozen guy that we saw in Schwarzenegger back
Yeah.
in
Oh
Batman and
man,
Robin. So that could be
good old
cool.
days.
You know, like
Yeah.
the Scarecrow that we saw in Titans was awesome.
Yeah.
And that definitely, you know, you could I mean, obviously Scarecrow was in the Dark Knight trilogy, you know, not too long ago, but you can definitely do these supernatural characters. I mean, all these guys, even like Killer Croc might be tough because Killer Croc is a
Mhm.
giant, you know, crocodile who lives in the sewers of Gotham. But a lot of these characters, I think there's a way to do them and not make them silly. You know, like they fit into
Yeah.
the grounded world that Matt Reeves is trying to present.
For sure.
So, with that being said, we have approached our 1 hour, 30-minute time. I
So
think that pretty much does it.
yeah, I think we're good on the Batman. Tell us how people can find us on social media, Brittany, if you would, please.
Simply follow the Watchers in the Basement on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. You can just type in, like I said, the Watchers in the Basement. You can also help grow our audience by using the hashtag Watchers Basement on Twitter, Instagram, even Facebook. Yes, you can. You can do that. That will help us immensely. And lastly, if you're not into video podcasts, not into checking us out on YouTube during our live streams, we will be sure to upload the audio podcast to Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, and Spotify. We also appreciate if you gave us a 5-star rating if you've enjoyed this podcast. And shout out to our friend Nick from Walking in the Woods in the UK. He recently did a Batman trivia over on his channel this past Saturday and gave us a shout out about our podcast. So all the way from across the pond, we appreciate your support of this channel and our little podcast. You know, we said it before, we said it again. We're not a large podcast, but we are a proud one.
Yeah, Brittany, thank you. And thanks again to Nick for the shout out. I watched some of that on Saturday. It was a great show and I appreciate that. So thank you very much.
Mhm.
Before we go, the last thing I'll say is I recommend everyone should watch The Atom Project on Netflix. It's pretty good. This movie just came out
It's on my
recently.
list.
It's worth checking out. It's pretty fun. So anyway, we'll be back soon with more talk. Maybe we'll talk about The Boys, Diabolical, that animated show. The season 3 is coming up pretty
Yes.
soon. So
So excited.
hopefully we'll see y'all soon. So for Brittany, for George, for Frank, this is Justin saying we'll see y'all later. Thank you.
Peace.